Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Johnny Davis Live. That's right, we're here today, guys, on this August 9th, 2019, with an exciting show for you today. You know, I'm always excited to have my show, first of all. You know that. But hopefully some of you guys will join us today. And speaking with special guest, Mr. Jeremy Joseph, has a really great story to tell. He's exactly the kind of story that I'm always looking for to bring on the show so that we can, you know, hopefully maybe help somebody and maybe give them some ideas of how they can overcome in their lives. You know, and it's a really important thing for me. I just want to make sure that people can see that other people have gone through really tough things in their lives, and that they can also, you know, overcome as well. And I think his story is going to be very instrumental in doing that today. So we look forward to speaking with Mr. Jeremy Joseph there. He's out of Florida and all, and also he's a fighter and a fighter and a fighter. And that's why we have this Fighter Within segment, because you know, he hasn't not had tons of world titles or that many fights and all, but he uses the sport of kickboxing to overcome and to stay strong and to live a better life. And so that's what's important to me, and he's a perfect fit for that Fighter Within segment that we'll be doing here shortly. We always want to thank our sponsors, Blackout Fight Gear, blackoutfights.com. In fact, I don't know if you can see my shirt. I got on my Blackout Muay Thai shirt going on there today. You know, we picked that shirt up this past weekend. Love the shirt. Love the shirt. Thanks so much, Rodney. He's also going to have some Blackout kickboxing shirts as well. So like I said, we're just getting the word out, guys. Blackoutfights.com. Be sure to check them out on their website. Eastern Offset Printing as well, for all they do for us. They're located in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. I just want to remind everyone as well about the the 7th annual IKF East Coast Classic. It's the fall classic that's coming up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina on October the 4th and 5th at the Crown Reef Conference Center. It's going to be a great event, guys. Hope you will plan to check it out. More information is on the website at akpromotions.org. We give out nice championship belts and awards, you know, cups and medals. Men, women, and juniors can fight in this full contact competition. There's only one ring, or one lighted ring. It's a lot of fun. And if you've never tried it before, you certainly should give it a chance. It is the IKF East Coast Classic there. It's the fall classic. We have a spring classic as well. So check out all that information on our website at akpromotions.org. There is a deadline coming up on this Monday, the first of several deadlines coming up. If you want to save a few dollars, go ahead and register over the weekend by Monday night, and you can save some valuable dollars there. Also, we have a lot of IKF Point Muay Thai and kickboxing tournaments coming up. All of those fights or tournaments are on the website. Our next one in the area is going to be Mr. Don Roger there. It's going to be August the 17th in Apex, North Carolina. So certainly check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's one coming up August 31st in Rockland, California. We have one September 7th with Mr. Chris Claudfelt in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and another one on that same day with Mr. Jake DeOngdara in Sacramento, California. A lot of events going on, guys. akpromotions.org for IKF PKB sparring competitions. You know, the great thing about this broadcast is that you don't have to watch it now. You can spread it and, you know, take it, copy it, send it, paste it, wherever, and, you know, share it with your friends. And, you know, we get hundreds and thousands of views on this eventually. So we want to make sure that you know that you don't have to watch it now. If you're at work and you click in and you go back out, that's fine. Come back and check us out a little bit later on. Again, you're watching Johnny Davis Live, guys, and it's all about Muay Thai and kickboxing today and the fighter within. Before I get started with our special guest here today, I also want to talk about the contest that I started. I started it the other day, just having a little fun. I call it the over 50 split contest, where we do that split. Let me tell you something. I'm getting my butt kicked about right now. I knew that there was a lot of guys over 50, men and women, who could actually do the split and everything, and who were going to, give me a run for my money. I want to say congratulations to Mr. David DeGualo, I think that's correct, Mr. Dan King, and Mr. Terry Gore. Some other people also entered that contest, but they're not our finalists. The finalists would be David and Mr. King. I don't think I'm really even in it. They had Terry Gore also in there. Right now, I'm looking at the scoring. Looks like they're kind of going neck and neck between Mr. King and Mr. DeGualo. It's going to be fun, though. On Monday, we're going to announce the winner. I don't think I'll be anywhere. I probably won't get one vote. That's okay. I just wanted to put myself in. It's all in fun. But hopefully on Monday, we'll give you the winner. We will give you the winner on Monday, and they will win $25 Starbucks card. I mean, that's not a bad thing. Everybody likes Starbucks, I think. At least I know I do. So anyway, without any further ado, guys, we want to bring on the one and the only, the man with the plan there, Mr. Jeremy Garrett. I almost said Jeremy Garrett. Jeremy Joseph. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing just fine, man. So happy to have you on the show today. I know that just last week we saw each other. I don't know if I saw you last week, but you did fight in the World Classic, correct?
Yes, sir. I saw you. You were pretty busy. You had a booth over there, and we kind of like just exchanged glances. But yeah, I definitely saw you over there. But you know how it is in Orlando. It's so crazy with the 3 rings. But I also saw you up in. I fought also in March when you had the Classic in South Carolina.
Right.
Yeah, I fought there also. That was an amazing event, man. That was. Out of all the kickboxing tournaments and all the fights, that was the best one I've ever been part of.
Wow.
Not that I've been, not many, but
let me be a little vain. Let me be a little vain right now. Why do you say that?
Well, the whole thing was perfectly organized. The way you had the different fighters come out of each side, so the camps weren't there watching each other. There wasn't any tension in there. And then you had everybody come out and get announced, and then you broadcasted it live so that people's families could see it across wherever they're at. Because, as a fighter, first of all, it's an honor just to be here, because I've studied kickboxing since I was 10 years old, and I've watched your fights. I've seen you, and you're a legend in the game. A lot of people don't know. Yeah, you do. But, yeah, the way you ran that event, man, it was just so, as far as amateurs go, you made us feel like we were all pros in there, man. And that was even to the kids that were sparring, man. We all felt a real good, it was a good vibe there, man. It was just good energy. The announcers were spot on. You had that one female that used to be a kickboxer announcing. So it was real. It made us feel like.
Yeah, Jennifer Waters. Yeah, she'll be back.
What's her name?
She'll be back again this year with Derek Reams. They'll be hosting that again this year.
Yeah, so it made us all feel like we weren't just in there like we were in there. It was like we felt like pros, man. It was like a lot. It was very special for everybody.
I appreciate that, man, because that is really my game plan, is to try to set them up for the pros, right? Make them the amateurs feel like pros today, and let them know that each and every one of them are important. And that's why we only have one ring, because everybody is a star when they get in that ring. You know what I mean? And the pressure is on. The pressure is on.
Yeah, 100%.
I appreciate your participation and definitely appreciate the kind words. We want to talk a little bit about, your career as a fighter. And what's so interesting is that, you're like, again, you don't have some big record. You're 1-2 in the fight game, but you use kickboxing to enhance, other parts of your life. It's not so much about winning and losing in the ring, but it's about winning in life. I think you have a remarkable story, and why I wanted to bring you on today to hopefully inspire people and motivate people to do the best they can, even when they go through hell, even when it's really tough and they want to give up. Hopefully some things will be said today that can help them, get through. So I'm really actually honored to have you on the show today as well. I want to start out by going back a little bit, Jeremy. We know that you did spend some time in prison and stuff like that, but I want to go back to your childhood here and just kind of give us a little peer in, give us a little shot in, if you will, of your childhood and kind of what that was like.
Okay, so I grew up in basically middle class suburbia America, working father, stay at home mom. I played all sports all through school. My grandfather lived with us. He was a police officer, retired, taught me how to shoot guns, so taught me how to box. So I was always around a lot of men, a lot of positive influences. So that part of my life was really remarkable. So I have no excuses. But as I got older, my father got very sick. And he was on he didn't die, but he was so disabled that he couldn't even get out of bed. And what
kind of sickness? Well, I'm sorry, Joe. What kind of sickness was it?
So my father had renal failure, and it's the acronym for it is FSG. I don't know. It's focal. I don't know how to pronounce it fully. And so he was on his deathbed, and he got a kidney transplant. And my mom had a nervous breakdown at that time. So basically, at that point, there was my grandfather passed away. So I went right to the streets is what I did. And that's what happened. It went from sports and everything like that to I have nobody. And,
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
I don't want to jump too fast here because you said your mom, that's a big part of this, perhaps. You said your mom had a breakdown. So, yes. I mean, what do you think led to? Was it the fact that her dad was sick, or what do you think led to the breakdown?
So, like, as you grow older, when you're a child, you really don't realize what's going on with your parents. But when you get older and you become a man or a woman, you start to know what really happened. So there was a lot of abuse towards my mother from my father, not so much in a physical way, but in a verbal, mental way. There was a lot of lies and a lot of scandalous things that made her feel like we were taught by my father to not respect our mom. She's crazy, don't respect her. So so we didn't have that growing up. So which I would never, ever teach my son or anybody to ever do that. I don't care how bad it gets between my wife and I, but I would never, ever turn my son against them. But that's what she went through. And she already had a little bit of mental illness, and that just made it go completely AWOL. And
let me ask you though. So how did that play on you? Because you jumped kind of like you went into the streets. The fact that your dad was basically teaching you not to respect your mom. You said it wasn't physical abuse, but it was more verbal abuse. But nonetheless, abuse and disrespect. How did that affect you personally?
So the way it happened was, at that time in my life, I didn't understand what mental illness was. And I looked like, okay, my father, he's sick. I could see that sickness, right? I feel bad for him. That's my dad. When I looked at my mother, I just like, you're crazy. I hate you. Leave me alone. Like, you're on drugs. But I didn't understand what was really going on. So then I lived.
When you say she was on drugs, so it wasn't so much, was it street drugs or was it like prescription?
No, she was taking like psych meds. But my dad had me convinced that, your mom's taking this and that. So it put her in a dark place where she had no one to turn to. And, she really didn't know what to do. She could not control me. And my father was too sick, and he really didn't care what I did. There was no rules. He didn't care about me drinking or smoking pot or whatever I did. So that ultimately led me to like, and my mom's an angel, don't get me wrong. But at that time, I had no understanding of what was going on. I just thought she was crazy. And I thought my dad, poor him, he's sick. But now I see things for what they really are. My dad's a good man. Don't get it wrong. But he didn't teach me how to be a man.
Well, this is where I want to go, is that So you're saying there's a lot of turmoil going on with your dad being sick, with your mom having some mental illness issues, that
Yes, sir.
somehow, somewhere in there, they weren't raising you.
No, I didn't. Where I learned to be a no, they didn't teach me how to be a man. Um, my father taught me what he thought was the version of a man, and as I grew up and had to become a man in
And
prison,
what and
real
what and
quick.
what was that version?
My father,
Yes.
he was teaching me to basically do whatever you want. It does. There's no consequences. There's no rules. You do what you want. You live your life, and whatever happens, happens. And then that's how I was brought up by him. Like, if you want to smoke some pot, if you want to drink, if you want to,
Wow.
like at a young age, 13, 14 years old, I'm having multiple women coming in the house, girls, like
Wow.
doing whatever I want. And to
Wow.
him, there's no discipline, because he felt like I don't have to discipline you because you're my boy, and we're just gonna do whatever we want. I was getting him. We were smoking everything. Like my dad was almost like my friend.
Right.
You
Right.
know, but at the same time, before all this happened, he was involved with sports and he was there and he was a good man. But when push comes to shove, he never taught me how to actually be a man. You
Right.
know, and he never taught me how to respect women, and that was ultimately why I was like, man, it's just too much chaos. And when I chose to go to the streets or whatever you say, just the bad areas or where I was doing my stuff at, was because I felt love there. I felt appreciated. And I seen that the worser things I did, the more, I want to say, not so much violent acts, but the more like criminal acts I did, the more I was appreciated.
Mhm.
So that was in fact what raised me and completely took me to a whole path in life that almost destroyed me. Luckily, through the grace of God, I went to prison for all those years, which I went for 5.5 years, and I became a real man in there and learned what life is really about. You
Right. But,
know,
but I want to just before I, go too far
yes, sir.
in that abusive manner that your dad was to your mom. How have you since treated women? Did you kind of go into that cycle of treating women like objects for a while and you
100%.
learn differently?
So 100%. So the way I seen how my father had multiple relationships with women, like my parents were divorced, or they weren't together, whatever, and I would see that basically he would go after insecure women, women that had, a lot of problems mentally. So I was automatically drawn to a weaker type of woman because I could do whatever I wanted.
Ah,
And that's what he would do. He would get a weaker woman and do whatever he wanted. Just like with my mom, she had mental problems at that time, and he was able to do whatever he wanted because she could not mentally and physically stop him. So I learned from my father that that's what I do. I go after the weak ones, and that's predator, bad, terrible behavior. But
right.
when you're young and you think it's cool, like, yeah, look, this girl worships me, but really she has problems herself, and she needs somebody to bring her up. Instead, I was
Wow.
bringing her down. You know what I
Wow.
mean, sir?
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, that's heavy stuff right there.
Yes,
So,
sir.
what have you done? What have you done to counter those emotions that you had and those lessons, those negative lessons that you were taught from your dad about dealing with women? How did you counter that?
So, so, and I'm not glorifying prison at all. Like, prison is a horrendous place, but that's one of the only places you can go, and there's no phones, there's nobody to call. It's just you and your thoughts, your regrets, your dreams, your aspirations, your goals, right? So, I did a lot of reading, and you know what? At the end of the day, there was only one person that I could call, and that was my mom. So once her and I built that relationship up again, because she only knew me as a wild son that didn't respect anything and just did whatever I wanted. So once I got away from all the negativity and all the demons, her and I built a relationship in there. And I felt so much regret that I swore to myself that I couldn't believe I even talked to her like that. So I just bettered myself in that aspect as through our relationship with her, like her and I,
And
as
so,
and I
and
just
so, and so basically, you've just kind of forwarded that that what you learned in prison and about how to treat women, you basically started practicing that, and henceforth why the relationship you're in today is working. Correct?
100%. Like, we're about to have a beautiful baby boy with my fiance,
Right.
and
Congratulations. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
and
I want to say this though, because I don't want to miss this important piece about your
yes, sir.
childhood. Now you mentioned the fact that how quickly you ran into the street. What were you looking for out there?
I was looking for acceptance and I would say camaraderie because I have two siblings and they were already gone with their lives moved on. So it was just me with my dad who there was no rules, guidelines. He was always at his girlfriend's house or whatever. So I felt like I just completely stopped training, stopped doing sports, everything, and found like, okay, if I fight this guy, these older dudes are like giving me so much respect and loving and sending me on all these crazy, stupid missions to do this. And I was getting all this love and it was probably all the love and acceptance that I was not getting at home. And
Mm,
I feel like that's what ultimately led me to the streets because I seen the worse I was, the better they were as my friends, even though they weren't truly my friends, because no friend ever would ever let any of someone they love or care about do anything wrong.
right.
But that was ultimately what it was acceptance, brotherhood, and I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of anger because
Man, you must be reading my mind. That's exactly where I was getting ready to go next. It sounds like you were angry,
I was very angry.
I want to dig into that a little bit because it
Okay.
wasn't a great start for you. What were you? I can understand things you can be angry about, but have you ever kind of dissected yourself to try to figure out why were you angry?
100%. So at you know at that time I didn't really have any humility. So I'd be like, man, there's no emotions. But all those years I did behind the wall, I learned why I was so angry. Why? Because even for the first few years, I was so angry in prison too. Like it didn't just change overnight. Like I didn't just go to prison and was like, okay, I'm healed. Yeah, okay. No, it took years for me
Right.
to understand. So the anger stems from what I see now is that, okay, I was angry at my father for how he treated my mom. I was angry because I didn't understand mental illness. I just thought my mom was just crazy. I had no idea that there was a chemical imbalance and she was getting verbally abused, put down every day,
Right.
and all that. So I was so angry that I just lashed out on the streets. I felt like there was no one to talk to, and my mom, she didn't want to live. She was like, man, I don't even want to live anymore. So I was angry about that. I was angry at my dad. I was just so much just anger as a kid, 15, 16-year-old kid that grows up in this environment. It becomes, and I got my first arrest at the age of 15 for a burglary, right? I robbed a drug dealer's house.
Right.
And I did
Help
like,
me out some more. I robbed a drug dealer's house.
yeah. But
Wow.
unfortunately, in the suburbs, you rob a house. I don't care if he's selling whatever. He's not a thug. He's gonna call 911 and press charges. So I
Right.
went away to juvenile prison for 2 years at a young age. So that made me even more angry because I was so immature.
Right.
I still had the mind of a boy. So when I got out, 17, 18 years old, that anger was now like, not only do I have that anger, I have a chip on my shoulder. Like, yeah, I just did all that time, 2 years. I thought I was this tough guy, and
Wow.
I'm gonna show everybody I'm so tough. I don't need anybody. Nobody was there, and I had so much resentment. Oh, you're just crazy, mom. Oh, dad, you're not. Da da da. And so I lashed out. That was my biggest problem, was my anger and my pride. You know, and I felt like that. And you know what? Another thing too, Johnny. I think also when people would like, oh man, like I would see certain things, like I'd see families, and this isn't to sound cliche, but I would see
Right.
families that were like normal, functional families,
Okay.
and I think
Yep.
that would make me more angry,
Real talk.
because they showed me more love than my own family at that
Right.
time, you
Right.
know, at that teenage years of my life. So I just felt like, at a young age, you don't realize you have so much life to live and how you can turn things around and just make things so great. You just think this is it. This is all it's going to be. and you have no hope and this and that. But obviously that's not the case. But at that time, I just said, you know what? I don't give a damn about anything, and I'm just gonna go do whatever I want to whoever like that. I never hurt an innocent person, anything like that. But
Right.
like I was caught up
Yeah.
in
For people who are going
bar
through that,
fights.
yes. For young people who are going through that right now, what would be your message to them right now, knowing that you didn't have the guidance, you didn't know any better. Maybe they don't either. Maybe they don't have that person that they know of who they can call on.
Right.
What would be your advice to someone going through the same thing today?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Johnny, because like I have taught anti-bullying. I've talked to kids in juvenile crises like throughout this training since I've been home, and the advice I give them is that you think that this is it, like I just said, but life is so beautiful. It can be so beautiful if you let it. You have to stop fighting it. So many people are brainwashed by what they see on society, the rap music and everything they see, like, oh, kill, sell crack, do this. Right. It's all they hear. Right. Brainwash. That's not life. Those guys that are singing those songs, let me tell you something. They're not in prison. The gangsters and the thugs and all them, they're in prison for the rest of their life, praying to God every night that they can go home. So I would tell the young kids to go to school, get an education, go to the military, do something positive with your life, find a strong woman, build a family, work your ass off, because let me tell you something. You don't want to be, I could sit here and I tell them, I'm like, look, man, I'm 32 years old and I spent, all of my 20s in prison. Like I didn't even have a driver's license when I came home.
Wow.
That's how embarrassing that is. And what you think at a young age is cool when you in your 30s and they're still doing it. When I came home and I saw these dudes that I grew up with doing the same exact things, it was just embarrassing. Like you're 30 years old and you're still you're not even paying bills. You don't have anything going for yourself. Right. And that's what's going to happen. Three things are going to happen to you. If you're young and you feel like you have no one to talk to, there's so much help. You can go to your church. You can reach out to so many people through social media. There's so many support groups. You can get into sports, coaches, whatever. There's tons of people that are willing to help you. And on top of that, you have to know what'll happen today will go away. The next day, it might take months, it might take 6-7 months, but it will get better and you will heal because time heals everything.
Wow, man, that's some solid advice that you're giving right there. Have you ever spoken to your parents in detail about their relationship and how it affected you?
Of course. As I came home, I had a lot. I was more confident, obviously, in my ability to speak about these things because now they see me as like, okay, like I'm not a little kid anymore, and like so I had no problem speaking up. So first, I wanted to make amends with my mother and let her know, because I read books in there about mental health. I studied it because I was like, dang, like I was over here thinking one thing, but it's a serious illness. You can't see it. It's not like cancer. And that's one thing that plagues society. All these shootings, all this thing, they need mental health, man. These people, these youngsters coming up, they need to get guidance in mental health. They don't need to be on the phone 24/7. The parents need to hand them the thing and they just see nothing but violence. And yeah, to get back to your question, I talked to my father about it. And, I told him like, I understand, nobody's perfect, but I do know how you treated my mom. And we've had butt heads. He had said certain things that he used to say when I was younger about my mom, like call her the B word or say certain things. And now as a man, I would tell her, do not say that at all. You know what I mean? I would tell him like, look, that's done with.
Right.
Here for like, I'm not on that team no more, and I straightened him out with that. And, I even tried to donate him a kidney. To say, like, I had no animosity. I don't hold any hate. Wow. I tried to give him a kidney, but he broke his hip. So we ended up not being able to do the surgery. And then the baby was made. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. But I just told him, like, all that disrespect, like, because I used to be on team him. So he'd be like, your mom's a be this, a be that. Right. Oh, I can't stand your mom, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, she's nothing but this, that. So when I came out, I said, that's over with. You're not going to talk about my mother like that at all. Like you need to respect her.
You became, fortunately or unfortunately, you became a man inside of prison.
100%. You know, it was a blessing in disguise. And just like some more advice, I would tell the youngsters that the things you think are horrible in life are sometimes the best things that ever happened to you, you know,
Right.
and you don't see it then, but adversity is what makes a man, what makes a woman, you know, it's what you do in those tough times that makes you who you are. You know, it's a cliche quote, but tough times don't last, but tough people do.
That's
But
one of my favorite quotes.
yeah, you know, everyone knows that one, but the motto I live by is this, Johnny, is that you never know a true person's character until they go through adversity. So
Yeah.
every one of these youngsters that are going through pain and suffering, how you respond to that, when you stand up and face that eye to eye and you fight, it doesn't have to be a physical fight, it could be a mental war, but you fight every single day and do what you have to do to better yourself. You'll see the aura, the glow, the great person you'll become. But
Right.
if you let those demons take over, you're done.
So when
You know?
while you were out there and you did run away, I'm kind of going to digress just a little bit here. You got a great story. I'm enjoying this tremendously. It's really great, and I
Yes,
know it's going to help some people. And then you guys that are listening right now, feel free to drop a comment in the line there. We'll definitely appreciate it. You're watching Johnny Davis live here with Mr. Jeremy Joseph. So when you left home, you went to the streets and you got into drugs a little bit. You actually were using them.
using drugs, selling drugs. I really wasn't like heavy drug user, more like partying, popping pills, drinking, like that. More so like I wasn't chasing a high, but I was in the scene, on the scene. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I know that rhyme for some reason, but
You said you were a poet and didn't even know it.
yeah, but yeah, I never like it was more like let me pop these pills so I can go commit this crime and not even have a feeling about it. I can be numb, you know, or I go fight, you know, my pops and I had an argument, man, let me just go take a Xanax and just black out and go do whatever the heck I want. You know, that's what I used them for, to almost numb myself, you know, not face reality, which is that's weakness and all in one. You have to.
Because you saw
Yes, sir,
so many people around you, at least your mom was on prescription drugs. Perhaps your dad had to probably be on some heavy medications as well.
Medication.
Or failure, and basically kidney failure, I guess. Was it easier for you to go towards something that numbed you?
Yeah, 100%. Like I never got into like cocaine or any of those high drugs. Like
that's interesting.
I've tried, like, you know, I partied and took like I guess the kids call it Molly, but ecstasy, this and that. But my thing was never to. I had so much hate and rage and anger that I was looking for something that would numb it, calm me down, the circus that was going on in my head. I wanted to take the easy way out.
Jeremy,
you know,
that's interesting what you just said. That people, the path that you followed with the drugs, that you ended up basically going after prescription drugs as opposed to street drugs like crack and cocaine and stuff like that. I mean, that had to be totally about your environment and the culture around you coming up as a youth. Would you say?
Yes, sir. And you know, South Florida, they had the pain clinics, you know, and when I was young, I could literally just walk into my mom's bedroom and, hey, I'm taking a Xanax, you know, and she was so weak at the time that it was like, what can you do?
Wow.
You know,
yes,
sir.
That's heavy. That's really heavy, man. I know. On a sidebar, though, you know, I've seen what alcohol and drugs can do to families. Now, on the opposite side of that, and maybe there's some other variables in here, but I actually ran the other way, right? When I saw, people who were around me who were drunk or who owned drugs or whatever back in the day, it made me, I don't drink or smoke, never have. And the reason why is because I saw the destruction. What do you think about the possibilities of kids? Is it a possibility that kids today in this environment with all the things that are going on and them having so much access, that they can possibly take the opposite road as opposed to doing what they've been taught by seeing?
Yeah, yes, sir, 100%. So obviously in all the music, drugs are the sipping the scissor and all the stuff they see is drugs. It's a big part of the culture of these youngsters growing up.
Right.
And it's almost like a fad, like to fit in, to do drugs. But the way you go the other way is you get into sports, you get into something greater than yourself, something you have to struggle for, because this might sound crazy, but drugs, I mean, people have their own belief as far as religion and whatever you believe in. I respect all beliefs, all creeds, and all walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
But I firmly believe that drugs open a gateway for a demon to get inside of you. And not so much a physical demon, but right here spiritually. And you popping Xanax, you're taking X, this and that, and you do stuff. You might sleep with a person unprotected and ruin your life right there.
Right.
You know, or you might go rob a house and not remember. And the thing is, the coolest people I ever met were the ones that didn't follow the crowd, were the ones that were like, that, you know, that my nickname was Jay or Viking, whatever. They say, Jay, you know, stop that, you know, and come back to the football field, you know. And they're the ones that made it, man. They're successful, and they had hard times. They struggled. They had bad homes. They went through the similar things as me, if not worse.
Right.
But they knew ahead of time what would happen from what they seen, just like you said, from what they seen, and their lives were beautiful. You know, they weren't in their 20s and 30s trying to figure out how to get credit. You know, they had houses, they had families, they had jobs with pensions. Some of them went to the NFL, you know, so they lived a righteous life. And that's what these kids need to do. Stop listening to what these rappers say, because I've been to the places these rappers talk about, and they're not there. The ones that are there, the 15, 16-year-old kids that listen to Little Boosie or whoever's rapping, and they think that's real life, and they go do that, and they go get 30 years in prison, and their life is over.
Wow.
That's what happens when you use drugs and alcohol and think that you're living a thug life. And then I've seen the toughest of the toughest with 80 teardrops down their face crying at night because they're never going home to see their family. They're not getting a visit. And let me tell you, not to interrupt you, but for the kids that think that that's the way to live their life, when you're gone year after year after year after year, people forget about you. You're out of sight, you're out of mind. And it's not because they hate you. It's just life goes on. You're so far away. You're 10, 12 hours away. And what I did was I completely cut out the whole world. I was gone so long that I just stopped writing my family. This is where I was. And that's crazy. That's institutionalized. And that's what happens, man. And I'm not trying to like over exaggerate drug use. Like, I'm sure people experiment and try marijuana. I'm not advocating for that. But I'm saying if you're around people doing bad stuff, you're going to go to prison.
Right. Well, when you were out there doing it, because we got to look at it for what it is. When you were out there, did you not see the potential consequences of prison?
I almost wanted to go to prison. To tell you the truth, as horrible as that sounds, like I'd already went through the juvenile system. Right? And I was already like groomed to go to adult prison. It was only a matter of time. That was it. And I'll tell you what, when I got arrested, like it was a whole big thing. The SWAT team came and I got in that police car. I just took a deep sigh of relief. I was like, it's over. It's finally over and I can go rest. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing.
Hold on. So, man, you know, I had a guest on the show. I think it was either Mr. Ruben Saldana or either Mr. Fernando Calleros. And it seems to me they said something similar to that. It's almost like you get tired out there doing all that dirt. And when you are caught, there's like a sigh of relief.
Yeah, 100%. It was like, it's over. And I remember like the first day, you know, I went in and they offered me to like 20 years. Like I was like, what? 20 years? Like, what are you talking about? So I remember, I'll never forget this day. So I called my mom. I've been in the county jail about a month. And let me tell you guys who all are acting bad to your parents, that's who you're going to call right away. Mom, bail me out. And my mom said this to me. Nope. She said, you need to stay in there and get your mind right. And right when I hung up the phone with her, I had got into a huge fight. I have got my orbital bone broken, my thumb dislocated. And that's when you know, the anger got even worse for me because that's what happens, in jail. Obviously, it was a huge thing that happened, and it was just nonstop fighting for a long time, and it took me about 3 years into the 6 year sentence to finally realize like it's time to grow up and be a man, because it's no place for anybody, some people, but
Right. Well,
yeah,
when you think about prison, and knock on wood, I hope to never go. But yeah, 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 yeah. But one of my favorite movies is Shawshank Redemption. Uh,
yeah, he climbed, yeah.
how much is prison life? I mean, like Shawshank.
It's nothing like Shawshank Redemption at all. To tell you the truth, I mean that's a Stephen King book too. I read it
Yeah,
actually,
it's a
and
good movie.
but the best thing I'll tell you what though, nah, it's a little bit
Yes,
like that, but like they did a little bit with all like the rapes and all like that.
Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a lot, but the part that sticks with me the most from the book and the movie, because I seen both, was when he said in the end that he had to climb through a tunnel of crap to get to freedom. And that's the whole
Love that.
entire,
That's one of my
yeah,
favorite parts.
yeah. That's the whole entire thing of prison. That you have to go through a whole tunnel of crap to become free and smile and have that sun hit your face and know who you truly are. And that stuck with me forever from the movie. Like
One,
yeah, like there's
yeah,
go ahead,
yeah.
sir.
It gave you a lot of time to reflect, because one thing it did for him, obviously, it gave him a lot of time to reflect to try to escape, all right, which
Oh
he,
yeah,
which
man,
he
yeah.
eventually did. But it sounds like to me that you had a lot of time in there to reflect and get educated and stuff. Give me,
Yeah.
how do you, some of the negative things that you saw in prison,
Okay, so
without going into detail, how do you unsee that kind of stuff?
there's no such thing as there's some things that just stick with you for the rest of your life. Just like a
Oh,
soldier would go to Afghanistan, we come home with post traumatic stress too. It's
yeah,
just since you're a
yes,
convict, nobody
yes.
cares.
That's what I
Nobody
was.
cares. Yeah.
Are you
And
sure you're not looking at my notes right here? Because
nah. I'm just
PTSD, it seemed like that a person in prison would come out with some of the same symptoms as a person in war.
100%. If not worse, because the thing is, there's no like guns in prison, so everything's up close and personal. You know, and so you're surrounded by chaos and violence, and the guards are. I'm be honest with you guys.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in behind the slab, which is 24-hour lockdown, DC confinement, where they put the troubled inmates at, and the officers were killing inmates. They were pepper spraying us. They weren't giving us toilet paper. They were starving us. Like, not to get too crazy, but I had to even like I didn't have toilet paper for months, where I had to wipe my butt with
Yeah.
my bed sheet, man. And
What?
yeah, it was hard times, man. And they
Wow.
that's what it was. It was crazy back there. And the feds came and indicted a lot of the officers, and even one of the officers committed suicide. I'm not happy about that at all. I don't want to see
Yeah.
anybody die, but he had so much grief and so much fear from all the stuff he did. And I was right there when it all went down. They were throwing people downstairs. They would pepper spray people in hot burning showers. Like Florida was, you guys look it up, Holmes CI and Franklin CI. It was like the triangle, man, and it was horrible things. So when you get released from that environment, they say you pay your debt to society, but the way it goes is I understand. I deserve to go to prison. I'm never going to say, oh, no, oh,
Right.
not me. No, 100%. You do the crime, you do the time, no excuses. You pay it forward. That's how it goes. But when I pay my debt to society, I come home. That's when I really started doing my prison sentence. I
Oh.
can't get a I can't get a job. I can't rent an apartment. I can't get a license. I owe thousands of dollars for this. Like so it almost sets you up for failure. If you don't have family or anybody that is willing to help you or put trust in you,
Right.
you're on your own out there, and
How,
all you learn.
how did you? I'm sorry. How did you do it though? How you came out, you went through a lot in prison. How did you remain mentally strong in there?
So I'll tell you, the first year you think you're like this gift, God's gift, right? Because you're working out every day, you're shredded, your vocabulary, you're just so precise with everything, but you're really lost. You have no idea. Like, I didn't even know what a smartphone was. That's how long I didn't even have a Facebook.
Wow.
When I left, Johnny, I told my friend, "Hey, what's your MySpace?" He looked at me and laughed like I was a fool.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, yeah, just like that, just like that.
Wow. Well, I get it.
So it was like a time warp, but at the same time, I was away from all that stuff so long that I knew who I truly am. I don't ever second guess myself. So I went right to a moving company and I worked my ass off, making $10 an hour. I was I was a butcher at night at Golden Corral. I worked my ass off, hit the gym every day. And I remember I was walking down the street and I seen a Muay Thai gym, right? I didn't even, I knew what kickboxing was. I knew what Dutch kickboxing was, but a K1 Glory, but I really didn't know too much about Muay Thai. So I walk in there and I see my old coach. He's in there sparring, and him and I knew each other from growing up together. And I was like, I need to get part of this, man.
Right.
And he took me, we to fights and we just trained and trained and trained and fought and fought and fought and trained and trained and trained and trained to the point where he got me a job as a trainer. He got me in that whole lifestyle. So now all the people around me are people that are trying to better themselves physically and mentally, and they have a hobby that's like so good for themselves. Not just muscles. No, kickboxing is a mental strength. It's a healthy habit to have. So I surrounded myself with all those people, and that really helped. But still, I was lost, Johnny. That was a mask. Those fights I was doing and traveling, it was still a mask because I was still in horrible relationships with women because I didn't know how to ever open up. I didn't know how to I would never let anybody inside my heart, brain. I had like this armor from the years of being in this chaos and violence and just destructive, just every day. You see in stabbings and guards that, they talk to you like you're a dog. And,
right.
Like there was times where my mom, because I got transferred, I was up in the Panhandle for 4 years and I got transferred down to like a Belle Glades prison. And there was times where they had me for visitation. They wouldn't let my mom come in because of they said her shirt was like the wrong color, they want you to snap and you just leave with all that anger. Like there's times where I just didn't care, man, in there.
Right. Before we move away from that, and we will shortly, yes, you mentioned somewhere that you were a super criminal.
Yes, sir.
What is that?
So what I meant by that, Johnny, is before I went in, I was schooled by the best of them, man. The worst of the best of the worst, right? Then when I went into prison, every single day, you're under the microscope of law enforcement. Every move, everything you do is watched, monitored. They come flip your bunks, your cells, everything you do. So you learn how to move in complete stealth, silence, like a stealth assassin. Everything like that. Sign language, you have your own sign language, everything like that, to your own language, to written codes, to writing a letter just in urine, bro, and lighting fire to the bottom of it, like secret reading Machiavelli, The Prince, just learning all this stuff every day, studying The Art of War, by Sun Tzu, all that stuff. So now I'm not just this raging kid. I'm a grown man who is physically in the best shape of his life, mentally sharp, just reading Machiavelli, reading Sun Tzu, reading so much history about the Roman Empire and the story of Spartacus, and just so much stuff that when I told you about being a super criminal is that when I got out, I have a chance now. I'm a super criminal. It made me have a choice, either go on the straight path that I'm doing, or I could go do crime, and now I'm better at it. I'm literally better at it. Not that I did anything, but it made me a super criminal because of every day of what you're going through. So you're not you know what I mean? Can you hear me? Yeah. So that's what I meant by that.
So what was it about when you got out and you felt like you were Superman, if you will, with all of these tools?
So that's
what made you not go back into a life of crime? What was the main factor?
the main factor was I did not want to ever. I had so much regret, and because now for years and years you're thinking clear headed, and I did a lot of time in 24-hour lockdown. Like it's hard back there. You might shower twice a week. You can only flush your toilet 2 times a day. Imagine
No.
that. Yeah, it's rough back there.
What?
So I had to maintain in there, and what I did was I worked out every day. Burpees, pull-ups, everything in this little U-Haul truck of a house that I lived in, and I talked to some older people, and I got into the Bible a little bit, and got with some real good dudes, and they gave me the best advice I ever heard. They said, if you can survive and have that discipline like you have in that cell, use that same discipline, same attitude and mentality when you have a job. So I'll go outwork everybody. And, I made a promise to God and to my family that I would never, ever, I never wanted to let them down again, man. I never wanted to do that. I never wanted to be a lifetime criminal, because I seen guys that were 50, 40, 50, 60 years old, and they just been coming in and out, in and out. And it's just such a waste of life that I couldn't do it. So when I got out, yeah, I felt like Superman, because literally every day I worked out, ate food, read books. You know what I mean? And, there's some stuff that happens in prison. You fight and you see a lot of stuff. So I'm numb to, like, you're around the worst of the worst. So you become like, almost like there's nobody. My biggest problem, this is what I'm going to say, is my biggest problem was when I worked my butt off. But towards a boss, you couldn't tell me nothing. Oh, because I had a mentality of, if you were in prison, I would have, you wouldn't survive where I was at. And I would lose so many jobs because I had too much pride. The same thing that was keeping me out was still my downfall. And I had to really go within, and that's when kickboxing really humbled me. And I learned, like, when I was getting my butt whooped by guys half my size, and I was around these good people, how to be humble. But it took me so long to lose that pride and that chip on my shoulder, because, like, my boss would be like, hey, you need to come in, just regular stuff that a boss would tell you. And I'd say, oh, you ain't going to talk to me like that, bro.
Right.
I had that. I would snap, I put hands on bosses. I did a lot of, but he blew smoke in my face. Like, there was a lot of things that happened to that moment, but still, that's immature behavior.
Yes.
But that's what you're around.
Wow.
You're around 50-year-old men that still act like they're 20-year-olds. You know what I mean? And so I had to really just say, look, man, you're working your butt off, but you're only staying at jobs for 6-7 months at a time, and you're losing them because of your anger and your pride. Like, you need to stop. But from all the years of just being with myself and knowing myself, thou who knows himself, if you know yourself,
right.
That's all you. Trust me, bro. Life will be a lot easier if you know who you truly are. I dug within out there, and I buried that. I completely buried that.
What about the kickboxing that helped you feel more of that commitment to change? Is it the hard work in it? Was it the trainers? Was it the environment? I mean, what was it about kickboxing that made you stay strong and change?
So what it was is, okay, so I was already in excellent shape, and I still was always working out, and I studied how to eat healthy. I read Leviticus up and down and studied, like, diet. I just knew how to mind, body, soul. But you get out here, people don't understand that. They think you're crazy if you talk like that, and they think you're just like whatever. So when I went there, I met like-minded people that were eating healthy, that were strong, that had discipline, and I needed that camaraderie. I needed that brotherhood, that those people, like, we could punch each other in the face and then just shake hands and go get, and that's what I was missing. I was missing that camaraderie of like, what, because you're gone so long, like, you only make a couple friends when you're in there, and those are the people that you are with from day one. You know my friend that had no legs.
Yes,
remember him?
I'm gonna have him on soon.
Yeah, he's my that's one of my best friends, and him and I've been through hell and back,
right.
And I'm not going to put too much out there. Obviously, you're going to interview him,
right.
But a lot of his story and our story connects.
Right.
So when that camaraderie, that brotherhood, that knowing these, like, you just miss it. And that's what happens to a lot of vets. They get out and they don't have that anymore. They don't have that camaraderie. They think society doesn't understand them. You feel like nobody knows what you've been through.
Right.
And then you get around a bunch of guys where you're pushing each other to the hardest you can. You're sparring, you're competing, you're traveling, you're doing all this stuff, you're fighting in the ring. And I could care less about my record. I fight because that's where I feel my most safe at. And that's weird to say, but I feel safe in the ring.
Right. Right. No, I can certainly understand that. I want to kind of shift gears here just a little bit. Now, you are married now, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're married now. How long have you been married?
A couple days.
Days?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations, man. That's awesome. Awesome. So this special lady in your life is now carrying your child.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel as far as feeling accomplished?
Well, I'll tell you what, I really wasn't a man until I met her, to be honest with you. I didn't like, I was all that macho kickboxing, yeah, covered with tattoos head to toe, swole. I could just basically recite every word in the art of war. Yeah, I'm this badass dude. But now I have a woman that demands nothing but the best from me. And not in a gold digger way, but in a, yo, you need to be doing the best you can possibly do. Like, and she already had kids. So I had to learn to be a father. I had to learn to be a man, a real man that goes to work and provides and is there through the hard times. And it's not just like, okay, we fought, I'm gonna go home and just do. No, it's not like that. It's we fought. We need to work this out and we need to fix these problems and become a stronger relationship. You know what I mean? For not just me, but for these kids and these kids that were abandoned by their father. Now, hey, I'm here as the male role model, you know, and I have to live up to those standards of a man that's going to teach these kids what they need to know from a male's point of view, you know, that they don't have, you know. So she really taught me how to be a real man in that aspect. And it made me even go higher in my trying to achieve better for myself, job wise, education wise, like chasing more goals, because now I have a family. I have people that depend on me.
Right, right. Well, I mean, I think that's amazing to be able to meet someone like that young lady there, and something that can really put a smile on your face as it has. I mean, that's absolutely extraordinary. And she seems like a special lady. How do you feel about the new child that's coming, the new addition to the family?
So at first it was like scary, man. We found out 2 days before your classic in March. It was crazy. And so we rode up there and we fought, or I fought and everything we wrote down, and then it all settled in and it was like, dang, I'm gonna be a dad. And honestly, it didn't scare me or like make me like, oh my God, this and that. I was so amazed on how you can turn your life around and go from the pits of hell to being a role model to these kids, to being a great husband, to being a father, to being to doing all this great stuff in a matter of years. So that's when I tell these kids, man, whatever you think is going on, it will pass, you know? And it's like, look at me. And I still have so far to go, you know, I'm still, you know, behind in the book of life, but I'm still going through chapters. And it just shows that you get a strong woman, you keep your body strong, you keep your mind strong, and you keep nothing but good people around you, you're going to be a good person, man. It's just natural. If you're around bad people, you're a bad person. If you're around good people, you're going to be a great person, man.
Wow. And so you got some serious knowledge dropping right now going on, and I really appreciate that. I want to start kind of winding down here a little bit. We're going to go a little bit over the 2 o'clock hour, just a little. You know, with all the stuff that's going on in society today, you know, you alluded to, you know, guns and other things like that early on in your life. There's a lot of gun culture going on, a lot of politics that are going on right now. I've read some things on your some of the posts and things, so I kind of know where you stand on some of the things. But at the same time, I saw you trying to create some balance there too.
Yeah.
with some of the people who are kind of almost on the more of the radical side when it
Yeah.
comes to guns and the politics that are going on today. Tell me with your children, with the children that you have currently, the new child that's coming into your life. What is your plan based on your experiences to be able to teach them, or your biggest lesson that you've learned about teaching them about how to have a quality life and treat everybody with respect
So
and move forward?
so the thing is, what I would teach my son, if he was at the age where I could talk to him and he would know, obviously, to obviously respect everybody, but to not just, if something bothers you, you make a change. Too many people say they blame this person, they blame that person, and they create so much divisive tension between races and the left and the right side and all different parties in politics, but nobody wants to come together and get a solution. So I
Right,
would tell him, you respect everybody no matter what. And if someone disrespects you, you cut them out of your life.
right,
But the biggest thing and is society is we need to come together, man, because everyone blames everybody else for what's
right,
wrong. Okay, Trump did this. Okay, Bernie Sanders did this. Hillary Clinton did this. Da, 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 da. It's like they're masking everything. What
right,
really needs to go on is these kids are killing each other left and right and over nothing. And then these young kids in the suburbs are shooting up everywhere you go. There's
right.
something wrong in America that needs to be fixed.
Real
And,
talk.
we're at war overseas in Afghanistan. There's soldiers, just August 7th was the Purple Heart Day. And nobody knows that, man. Nobody knows how, like that should be a huge thing. There should be trained veterans at these schools protecting our child. There shouldn't be safe zones.
Right.
I'm not saying, okay, everyone has their own beliefs and what guns should and this and that. But coming from someone that grew up in the state penitentiary, I know 100% that if you take the guns away from the good people, the bad people are coming to get you. And we need more people trained. Like the police officers, okay, they need to be trained. They, instead of spending tax money on useless stuff, we need to train them in high tension situations. They need to know how to fight, because a lot of them do not know how to fight. So they're
I agree.
nervous. They pull out their gun and they
Right,
kill a kid that was reaching for his wallet or something.
right,
And
right.
it creates riots and chaos.
Yes.
We need them to know how to fight, to be confident in high pressure situations. And we need to have people protecting our kids at school, because there's nothing worse than someone that hurts kids, man.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem in
But,
America, I believe.
but what do we say to, there's a thin line between sanity and insanity. But based on the process of getting gun ownership, as long as you are sane enough at the moment to go through that process, even though within a click, a snap, you are insane based on what happens to you. How do we get a handle on that kind of thing when you have kids going into Walmarts, and shooting up Walmart, people going into schools, shooting up schools and churches and things like that? What sense does it make to have so many guns out there in people's hands when there's just such a thin line between sanity and insanity? What is your take on that?
Well, my take on this is like this, exactly like this. Like, I believe, like, obviously, that people should have the right to defend themselves. Obviously, that's where I stand. But I don't think that, I think there needs to be a lot more regulations. People, they have to have follow-up checkups. There needs to be some type of drug testing. There needs to be some type of thing to know what's going on with these people's lives. You can't just say, okay, he's never been in trouble, he's good, give him a shotgun, see you later, Johnny.
Right.
And then Johnny clicks. He's normal for 2 years, and then he goes crazy, like you said. There needs to be follow-up. They need to know what's going on in his internet database. You should have to sign something saying that once you buy this automatic gun or this pistol, you're giving your internet, like, we could look in, like, not so much privacy, but we need to know what you're doing online. Because that kid that shot up over there in Parkland, he put right there on YouTube, I'm a school shooter.
Yeah.
The Fed, there shouldn't have been, it should have been raided.
It should be locked up. It should be locked up right then. I mean, when you see that,
that's a terrorist threat.
But Jeremy, you have a lot of that propaganda going on a lot of these websites, and a lot of these kids have access to it, and they're putting things like that. The woman said from the Walmart shooter that she called the police department, and told them that this kid had this
Yeah.
gun that he shouldn't have, and
Mhm.
apparently nothing was done, not enough. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
how much needs to happen? How many more damn kids and people
And this
need to die before, we actually sit down and do something?
and I mean, you look at the Texas, like this goes back to, I mean, look in the 70s or the
Right.
80s. What was it when the guy was in the tower in Texas A&M shooting out the thing? Look at
Sure.
Columbine. I can go on and on. Unfortunately, I can go on and on and on
Yeah.
and on. And the sad thing too is, people will get knives. They'll get whatever they have to do, run people over with cars, this and that. But as far as gun violence, we're sticking on that, is that they need to be strict. They need to know what these people are doing. If you have a weapon that can cause mass devastation, they need to know and do their job. Like they need to have a database and they need to do welfare checks on everybody that's owning these guns, so we know what's up. And a lot of people say, okay, well, that's violating my freedom, my rights, my security. Okay, but you're not there when when the stuff goes down.
That's real.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So we need protocol. If you have nothing to worry about, you shouldn't worry about, hey, I'm doing my 2-month welfare check. Where's the guns at? I need you to come down here, like some type of test, something, man. And to save one life, man, to do it like that means everything, man, because these kids, man, what happened in Sandy Hook, man, was the worst thing I ever seen in my life.
Right.
And what was that? He went and stole his mom's guns. That kid there should have been like they could have came there and said, okay, you're not keeping your guns in a safe place. Your kid has already been Baker acted. We're taking your guns now. You violated. It should be like a one strike only thing. If you don't follow these rules, they should come up with a protocol. And if you violate one strike, your guns are gone.
Right.
And it should take some time, get them back, whatever, do what you got to do. But the thing is, there needs to be people that actually care. You know what I mean? Because even me, I mean, I don't obviously a felon, but literally I can go down the street and go get whatever I want.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's scary.
We definitely have to get some control over this, because I think that it's just getting out of control. And everybody, you made it a point earlier that probably kind of slipped by a lot of folks. You said it's only until crap happens to them. And we don't want to incite that anything happens to anybody, but it seems like people are insensitive to the fact that it's happening kind of to other people and not so much those people who are making those calls. So I think that we need to change things, because I would hate to come home. I don't know what kind of person I would be if one of my family members were involved in one of those type of things. I think that would probably be the end of me too, to be honest with you. Kind of, just really bad. And it's just a matter of time before you have somebody with that mentality, who somebody's going to go up and take somebody out, and they're going to take out the wrong person, and it's going to be some crazy stuff going on. And we need to get a handle on this. But anyway, I wanted to just shoot that in really quick as we wind down on my final question for you. With all the great changes that you've made, all the great strides that you've made, you got married, you got a baby on the way, you're into kickboxing, you're fighting. Tell me a little bit about your faith and how has that helped you come through. And it doesn't have to be Holy Ghost, religion, whatever it is you call on that somehow internally is giving you strength to carry on. What would that be?
Whatever you believe, I don't like to get too deep into religion, because religion and politics, not to forget. But let me tell you something. There is a God, 100%. There's spirits, there's evil that walks this earth, and there's a God up above. And we might not understand because people just want to see things, but they're not looking, and God is there. God has guided me through situations in life that I have no idea how I made it out alive. I shouldn't even be out, from some of the stuff that, just crazy stuff in prison and just all that. But God was always there no matter what. And they can say you're talking to air or whatever, but no, I've seen miracles happen because you have to have faith in God. Whatever your God is. It could be Odin, Thor, whatever you believe in.
You don't go into Greek mythology.
Yeah, we went right into Norse mythology.
I get your point. It doesn't have to be something specific to
but there's something higher.
You call it. Right.
You got to have something higher than you to humble you, to know that it's not like when they say, oh, Father, like he's watching you down there. No, It's everything. God is everything. And there's demons that walk this earth. You see them in the Catholic Church, those people that are pedophiles and this and that. Those are demons. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they get their justice. Believe me, Johnny, they get theirs.
Well,
You know that.
I want Jeremy. That's powerful. That's very good. That's very more balanced than I thought it was going to be. To be honest with you, that's pretty heavy stuff. I want to recommend. You know, I read a lot and everything, and I come across this book called Universal Christ by Mr. Richard Rohr. I want you to read that. I just want you to read it based on what you just said about people and understanding everybody and God is in everything and you know,
Wow.
I want you to read that book when you get a chance. I just think and see what kind of perspective you come out with. It's called The Universal Christ, and it's about everybody. It's about inclusiveness.
100%. I'm gonna order it off Amazon today.
Yeah, definitely check that out. I think that'll be good for you. And our final thoughts to the people who've listened to this and watched this, Jeremy. What message would you like to leave with those viewers?
Just basically, basically everybody, life is beautiful. And just because something is hard, you might be fighting with your significant other, you might be broke, you might be having $700 away from being out of rent. But let me tell you something, it passes. And how you deal with the adversity and all the horrible things that come your way defines you as a person. If something's bad and you're like, oh no, why me? Why me, God? Why me? That's the person you are. You're a victim. Don't be a victim, be a warrior. And you don't have to be a warrior and get in that ring like me and Johnny and everybody. Right here, this is where the war is. And no matter what you go through, you fight, you work. If you're late for rent and you're like, dang, why is this happening to me? Go get another job. Do what you have to do, but do not complain and make your situation worse. Always strive to better yourself. And things are going to get rough, hard. Things are going to get to the point where you question your sanity, God, everything there. But you cannot lose your faith, and you cannot lose your faith in yourself. And how you handle adversity determines who you are as a person. And that's the truth.
Wow. Jeremy Joseph, you dropped it today, buddy. I tell you what. Boy, that was good. That was good, man. I think people really watch this and they're going to have a great time. And I really want to wish you all the best, continued success. I hope that people will be inviting you to come and speak to people out there who need this type of advice because I think that, you can really help out a lot of people. I want to really thank you for taking the time to come on my show today and all, and I hope to be talking to you again in the near future. Okay, brother?
Of course. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have it right there. Mr. Jeremy Joseph there. He's out of Florida there. I tell you, what a great story. So many good things, and there's such a great message that he had for everyone. I hope that you guys will take heed of that. There will be a recording of this on our Facebook timeline at akpromotions.org and Johnny Davis Live on YouTube, as well as on Facebook. Hope you guys will check that out. You can also see more information about us at akpromotions.org or ikfkickboxing.com. We hope that you guys definitely will like our AK Promotions page on Facebook as well. Look, we want to thank everybody for watching us today. Hopefully you enjoyed this show, and we will see you around real soon. Always, in whatever you do, forward march. This is Johnny Davis Live, and I'm checking out. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.